16 of the world's top players are here at the partypoker.net World 10-Pin Masters to see who can take the pressure and win that $30,000 first prize.
We're at the Metrodome in Barnsley in the north of England with this unique format, a single lane, passionate fans and a quality international field for the 10th year of this prestigious event. Women have a great record here. Charlene Zulkifli of Malaysia won in 2001. The most successful competitor is Tori Torgersen of Norway. 3 wins in 9 years. The second woman to win, England's Nikki Harvey in 2003. Peng Nepomuceno of the Philippines won back in 1999. But the man to beat this year is the defending champion Chris Barnes, the American out to retain the trophy. There's the draw, 16 of the world's best male and female players, 12 countries head-to-head in a straight knockout. Each match played over 2 games. The player with the highest aggregate points total goes through. Previous winners there include Jens Nickel and Paul Moore. But first up, Chris Barnes opens his defence against Zara Glover of England.
This year, 16 of the world's greatest 10-pin bowlers are competing for a prize pool of $70,000. Now, they'll go head-to-head in the first game, and if they lose, they're out. If they win, they're through to the quarter-finals. The competition is fierce. Now, let's see who we've got lined up for the first game of the partypoker.net World 10-Pin Masters.
Hi, I'm Zara Glover, and tonight I'm playing Chris Barnes.
I'm Chris Barnes from the United States, the defending champion from the World 10-Pin Masters.
All the pressure's on his shoulders.
She's rolled fabulously in this event before. It's not the greatest draw for me.
I've got as good a chance as anybody. I'm just going to do my best and see what happens.
I'm sure I'll give her best effort, and I'll have my hands full tonight.
Time now to join your Master of Ceremonies, John McDonald.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Metrodome here in Barnsley. It's the partypoker.net World 10-Pin Masters brought to you by Matchroom Sport. Well, 16 players have assembled here on this purpose-built single lane to lift that coveted title and $30,000. Well, without further ado, let's meet our players then. Firstly, would you please welcome from Kansas, USA, and he is the reigning and defending World 10-Pin Master, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Barnes.
"37-year-old Chris Barnes had a 12-day purple patch back in 2006, picking up $330,000 by winning the Tournament of Champions, Roll to Riches and the World 10-Pin Masters. The big right-hander also starred on the winning Weber Cup team.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Lancashire and the 3 times champion of the world, it's England's Zara Glover.
25-year-old Zara plays here for the 4th time but has yet to win in round 1. Known as Zed, the right-hander has won championships as far apart as San Marino in Indonesia. Ranked number 2 in Europe, she was also runner-up in the European Ladies Masters. Time now to join your commentators Cass Edwards and Simon Golding.
Time then for the opening match of this partypoker.net World 10-Pin Masters. And first up, it's another one of those battle of the sexes that this unique tournament delivers. But what a battle it's going to be. The man in the blue, Chris Barnes from the USA, PBA legend, and now World 10-Pin Masters legend, the defending champion. He says there's only one thing he'd like to be more in bowling, and that's a left-hander, but Cass, he does pretty well with his right.
One of the biggest money winners on the professional tour in the United States. Chris has had a big win so far this year, and has come across the pond to try and defend his title again.
Nickname, son of Jor-El, just to explain that, that's a Superman reference. That's the kind of status that this guy has back in the USA. US Open winner and Champion of Champions winner. I mean, that was an incredible run, wasn't it, when he amassed some $300,000 in something like 12 days?
Absolutely, yes. Nice work if you can get it, isn't it? $330,000. in 12 days were his winnings, and that was just last year alone.
Just sitting down at the moment, waiting to get on with her 2 practice balls. Zara Glover, the 25-year-old from England, 3-time world champion back in 2003. But Cass Edwards alongside me in the commentary box, she knows just as well as all of us do that on this lane, in this format, in this tournament, you can beat anyone.
Simon, you're quite right. Yes, this is actually quite a short format for these international bowlers. They normally play between 20 and 30 games in a tournament. This is just 2 games. Aggregate score goes through, the highest number of pins bowled, and unfortunately the loser will be going home.
Well, Zed, as she's known to all of us here, hasn't had the best of records here at the World 10-pin Masters. Hasn't made it past the first round so far, but to me, Cass, she just looks a lot more relaxed this year. Does seem to get quite nervy when she comes out onto the stage, but finally Zara looks comfortable, looks confident.
Going back to what you said, yes, first round loser for the last 2 or 3 years, but she has come up against some fantastic opponents last year. Jason Belmonte was the winner against her. Previous to that, she's played Lasse Lintilä, and I believe it was Kai Vatanen from Finland. So yeah, she's really up against it, and this year she's drawn, well, the man that Paul Moore called one of the best players on the planet, Chris Barnes.
2 games, and the best aggregate score will progress through to the next round. You've got to be off the mark quick. Ominous Barnes opener. He won't be too pleased with that. He felt he got a reasonably good pocket hit, but just left the 10-pin.
Well, from where I was sitting, it looked pretty good. Just a little bit soft in the pocket, leaves the 10-pin standing, and brings out his silver hard spare ball and just rolls it across the lane nicely and takes that spare away.
Different ball for the spare Cass. They just like it to go nice and straight, hit the target.
Yeah, much harder surface ball of the spare balls, made of plastic polyester. But there you see his first shot right up into the pocket, just a fraction light, what we call a soft 10.
So a little glint of daylight early doors for Zara Glover, taking her time. So important to get the best possible start. And a very similar result, very similar hit, very similar result.
Absolutely, yes, that 10-pin in the corner yet again. After quite a nice pocket hit, here we see Zara. Nice deep knee bend, very steady at the line there, and that ball just turns up nicely into the pocket. Unfortunately, the 6-pin doesn't quite kick that 10-pin out, so again, that comes a nice sort of mottled hard ball. Just about hangs on to take the spare, so we're all level after frame 1.
Little nod of respect between the 2 opponents. That's something you'll see on a regular basis on the World 10-pin Masters stage. Players will very often tap hands in appreciation of each other's shots. So Chris Barnes, second delivery. You get the feeling he's not going to let the same thing happen again. And the same thing does happen again. So yeah, wow, exactly. He's an absolute technician out on the lanes, is Chris Barnes, and he's just trying to come to terms with what is happening out there.
Well, pretty much straight down second arrow there, which is the 10th board. An almost identical shot, and as you say, the identical leave. And there's the identical spare.
Yeah, Zara will have watched that with interest. What options does she have, Cass, to try and strengthen this pocket hit?
Well, maybe she's going to try and put some more rotation on the ball. She was certainly in the right place in between the 1 and the 3-pin there, but it may just be a matter of revolutions on the bowling ball. Hopefully we'll kick that 10 out. But she's not going to try anything too drastic yet. It's only frame 2. It's very early in the game. And as you say, if she can get a strike, she will take the lead by 1 pin.
So 2 spares from Barnes so far. What's Glover got? Great hit. And there's the first strike of this opening match. And Zara Glover has certainly sent out a warning message to the legend, Chris Barnes.
Yeah, straight straight down the lane, pretty much in between second and third arrow. Just turned up to the pocket. Oh, and she liked that one, didn't she? First strike of the match, first strike of the tournament goes to Zara Glover.
First big smile as well from Zara. She's had a game face on up until now. Barnes then needs to respond. And responds well. Well, you got the feeling, as you did last year in this competition, that it doesn't take Chris Barnes long to read a lane. And once he's read it, he won't let it get away.
Oh, absolutely, Simon. Yes, the first two balls were pretty much in the 1-3 pocket and had two spares. And the third one carried all 10. So one strike apiece. Pressure comes back onto Zara now. She will be looking to double up on that first strike that she's got in frame 2 and try and extend her lead.
Well, we've had two female winners in the past at this Masters tournament. Charlene Zulkifli was the first, and then Nikki Harvey of England. Zara Glover would dearly love to take this title, but got some big names to beat along the way, and she doubles that up.
Yes, excellent shot from Zara. Two strikes in a row, that's the first double, and she extends her lead. I'm sure she'd like me to say on air that Zara Glover is beating Chris Barnes. I wonder if she can maintain that through two games.
This is an exciting game as last year's winner and All-American boy Chris Barnes locks heads with 3-time world champion and English rose Zara Glover. It's male versus female. It's USA versus UK. There's much more excitement coming up, so join us after the break. Come back to the PartyPoker.net World 10-Pin Masters. Let's get back to the game to see who'll go through to the quarterfinals.
Chris then working a strike.
Yeah, just 11 pins down at the moment. Looking to close that gap with a double himself.
Oh, does it very nicely. Pair of doubles. But it's Glover still with that minor advantage. But this is when the game starts to get tasty. Such a quick encounter. It's so important you get those best scores up and away.
Simon, it's stringing these strikes together in groups of 2, 3, 4 or even 5 that will make the difference between winning and losing this match. It's so important for these players to get really locked into that their strike line straight away and hopefully maintain it all the way through the two games. We'll be looking for some big scores here, and I'm not talking 200, I'm talking 220, 240s. That's the sort of scores these players will need.
No, that one just a little wide, going right through the 3-pin.
Yeah, so I'll be wondering what happened just there. Just a little bit outside the mark. See, the ball's just sailed away. It's off to the right-hand side. It's left the washout, the 1, 2, 4 and the 10. Now Zara's going to have to chip this head pin, the number 1 pin on the left-hand side, and try and bounce it across into that 10 pin. It's a tricky shot. Maybe a 5-to-1 shot.
Good try. Got the Brooklyn hit that she wanted, but was just a little straight on that head pin. So that's our first open frame of this contest, and Zara Glover cannot afford that, and you can see the reaction. She knows, well, that might be it, and that's what we're talking about against Chris Barnes. That might be it.
Unfortunately, you may well be right. Yes, an open frame after the all the good work of the double has been undone by that 6 and the 3. It was a low count on the first ball, and what's Chris going to do? Well, can you believe that? That was nearly the 5-7 split. Chris is sort of wondering what happened there. Fortunately, the 5 pin has gone, so this is a straightforward single pin spare, but let's just see where this one hit. Yeah, very light in the pocket, no drive whatsoever. And it's very fortunate for the 5 pin to have gone.
Out with the spare. And still only the 1 pin to knock over. Easily dealt with by Chris Barnes. And a fascinating contest at the moment. Well, their maximum scores, 258 for Barnes, 254 for Glover from this point, so it's still very close.
Yeah, Zara has to get back and cover that open frame, and she needs another 2 strikes to do that.
That's how it's looking for Chris so far. That's not quite the card he'd be wanting to look at, but he's a worker, he's a professional. And consequently, he knows this isn't about getting worried about the first few frames. This is about turning things around from here. Glover then needs a strike. very, very good. Well,
Yeah,
she's done well to adjust there, hasn't she, Cass?
Much better shot, yes. Managed to get up to the pocket on that one. Just a fraction light, but we're not going to argue about that because it cascaded all those 10 pins around and made the strike that she was dearly looking for.
Well, get the strike, get the smile.
Yeah, England's golden girl. 3 gold medals in the World Championships, Ladies World Championships back in 2003.
Well,
Barnes a very light hit there on the headpin. Really didn't get up to the pocket at all. He's not quite sure what went on there. Let's have a quick look in the replay here. Just a little bit inside his mark, but it's heavy oil there he's playing in, and he's left himself there the 2, the 4 and the 8 pin. Now this has got a little tricky sleeper there. Those 2 pins that stand, that 8 pin stands right behind the 2 pin. He's got to make sure he covers it. Needs to be accurate.
covered with ease. Not the straight spare that you would normally expect to have to throw, but a nice piece of work from Barnes there to make sure that there's no open frame left, but he's not happy at the moment. Barnes usually goes very wide on the lane, skirts the oil and moves in, but as you said, Cass going through quite a thick area on the lane at the moment.
Yeah, he was a little bit inside his mark, played round sort of 15 ball, which is third arrow, and there is heavy oil there. This oil that is put on the lane for protection also aids and helps the bowler, and the oil on this lane for this tournament is feathered out to about 41 feet down the lane, so it's about 2/3 of the way down, and then the rest of the lane is very dry where the ball hooks up and gets all the reaction.
60 feet to that head pin from the foul line. So there's a bit of area for the bowlers to work with, but as you look at the camera from behind the lane and you look down the lane from behind the bowler, then just imagine the oil very thick around the foul line, tapering away towards the head pin. So as they go down the lane, they get more and more lane to work with, and on the drier part of the lane, that's where the ball will do its work, that's where the revs count. Nice work.
Yeah, Zara herself left the 2 and the 8 pin sleeper there, and seemed to take it away with no trouble whatsoever.
Well, we're definitely game on, there's no doubt about that. Glover, maximum tumbling all the time from that maximum of 600, but looks fairly comfortable out there.
Yeah, just an 11 pin lead for Barnes at this stage.
Great work. A little pat on the back from Chris Barnes. That's one of his idiosyncrasies that you'll see quite a few times in this tournament. He's a hard taskmaster, isn't he? But the PBA makes you like that, Cass.
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's well, it's a professional job. It's his business. He earns his living doing that, and well, you don't take prisoners, do you?
First real bit of pressure then for the English bowler.
Yeah, working on a spare, so this first ball will be a bonus count. It will count back to the previous frame where she made the spare. And she'll be looking for another 10. Well, she's only taken 8. It was only 7 to start with, but again, light in the pocket. No drive in the back end there.
Only just managed to get back, didn't it? So some concerns here for Glover.
Yeah, she's made 3 strikes, but at the moment she's struggling to make that pocket. Takes away the 4 and the 7 pin. Pretty straightforward corner spare there. She really needs to start sorting her A game out at the moment. She's not quite there.
That's how it stands at the moment for Glover, and she's certainly shown Chris Barnes the way through in this match. She really has to get some strikes together. Barnes is locked in.
Well, he's taken advantage very much of Zara not striking, and he's run up his second double of the game in frames 7 and 8. Just turning the screw a little bit here, making sure there's a bit more daylight between him and Zara. Great shot right in the 1-3 pocket, carried all 10.
Double for Barnes then, who, like most of these bowlers, won't play on this format an awful lot, and there's rarely this much intensity in the head-to-head encounters that you see in 10-pin bowling competitions, but Barnes deals with that so well. He seems to love this element of close quarters competition. Now Glover here, desperately in need of a strike. Once again, can't quite get the pocket hit she's looking for.
Yeah, just can't get that ball to turn up nicely. It's light on the head pin. It's left what we call the bucket, which is the 2, 4, 5 and the 8 pin. A little cluster spare, but it is a tricky one. Again, it's got that sleeper in it. What, the 2 pins, the 2 and the 8. She has to make sure she covers that 8 pin at the back.
Plenty of work still to be done.
Well, unfortunately, it's only 6 pins as well, and it was on a spare, so it's almost a minus count. She's lost pins. And she really needs to spare this one. Anything else will be in big trouble. Great looking shot. Manages to take all 4 pins away. Keeps the card clean by that 4th frame.
So Glover polishing off that tricky one. And after 8 frames, this is how things stand. That's the maximums that they can still get, and as you can see, Chris Barnes in complete control at the moment. Just a quick chat. They wanted to re-rack. Saw him do this quite a few times last year, Cass. He's a big fan of re-racking.
Yeah, he obviously looks at the pins stood up in that triangle. I thought maybe there's one pin that's not quite on spot, and he's allowed to take a re-rack, which he's just done. Hopefully he's going to be happy with this rack and now come up for his 9th frame. Working on 2 strikes in a row, and you know, really wants to bury this one in the pocket to make the first turkey of the game and advance his score. This really needs to be good.
Oh, turkey it is. A bit of luck for Chris Barnes, an apology to his opponents, and then a quick nod to the bowling gods upstairs.
Well, the reason that single pin was standing there for a little while, and it was the 9 pin. Watch this. This ball hits so hard it cuts high through the head pin. Doesn't deflect onto that 9 pin, but there's just a loose little messenger there, and away it goes, and that counts 3 strikes in a row. Barnes really turning the screw now, and advancing his lead.
Lots of power from Chris Barnes, good mix. Got pins flying everywhere. Now, well, it's easy to say from here, really. What does Zara do? She needs strikes, doesn't she?
Well, absolutely, and at the same time she needs Chris to stop striking as well. She's 37 pins adrift at the moment. Coming up for the 9th frame. Very much pressure is really on her now. Needs to get something going.
Well done.
She does pretty much what Chris did. I believe she actually changed her ball there and actually got a lot better reaction in the back end. Left the 9 pin standing, but again another little messenger, just tweaks it out, and it counts as a strike in the foundation frame, frame number 9.
Yeah, she really attacked that one. Losers in the first round come away with $1,500. So that's why everybody wants to come to this competition. Great stuff. 4 in a row then for Barnes, a 4-bagger.
Yeah, whizzes through the 200 barrier with ease, no open frames, and that's, as you say, 4 in a row. He's also got a double earlier on. This is a 240 plus game.
Well, we talk about par scores from time to time. 200 used to be the old par, but when you're talking about someone like Chris Barnes, you're looking at 210, 220 for him to be happy. And it's going to be way past that.
Yeah, he's 235 with 1 ball to go. With 2 strikes in the 10th frame, so he earns a bonus ball. That's the first 5-bagger we've seen. And this is looking really heavy stuff from the PBA champion.
6 in a row. What a start from Chris Barnes. A few problems in the opening phases of that game, but then his true colours shone through. The master tactician once again at home on the lane, and what a finish. So he's still on for a big score, is Barnes, and a place in the quarter-final. And it's all about Glover from here, at least clawing back some of that deficit and trying to put some sort of pressure on her opponent.
Yeah, just needs to sort something out here for the second game. Well, that's the double. No, it's good. That change of ball has made a great difference. She's really ripped the rack there. Striking on the